Welcome back to the Claude Marketing Automation Series. This is episode 6, and now we're actually talking about downloading the Claude desktop app so that we can use a feature called Cowork. Cowork is different than standard Claude because this is how you can schedule your skills or different tasks. You can only schedule these things with Cowork, and it uses the files on your computer to accomplish this. Everything else stays the same. You still have your projects, you still have your skills. The only difference is this is running on your computer. So let's get into it. Let's download it. Let's run our first scheduled skill. And then this is going to be something that we do ongoing so that we can continue to automate our work. So the first thing we're going to do is download the Claude Cowork app. So you can see right here, I can simply download this directly on my computer. I'm using Mac, so it's really smooth. And once I download it, I'm going to be able to run directly into the dashboard of where I can use Claude Cowork. Once you have it downloaded, you should see something that looks like this. It's not that much different than Claude itself. The only main difference is that this can store information on your local machine in your files. It can access your files. It can rename your files. It can organize your files. And most importantly, what we're mainly going to be talking about is Cowork, which is a feature that Claude has that allows you to run your skills automatically. So if you log in, you should see on the left side, there are a few tabs to pay attention to. There's New Chat, which functions just like Claude. There's your projects, which you've already created from past videos. There's your Customize. You don't need to do anything in that section if you've already done that in the regular Claude app. And then of course, there are the recents. These are the chat history from your existing Claude account where you can utilize and access in your Claude Cowork as well. Then there is this middle button, which is Cowork. And so this is what we're going to be mainly spending a lot of time in. And really what this is going to allow you to do is you can see on the left side, there are new tasks, scheduled, live artifacts. And you can see I've set up a dummy one so that we can show you how to do this step by step, where I have it actually checking the stats of one of our clients' websites on a daily basis. When we start creating our first scheduled task, which we'll create on this video, you'll be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. And every time you access your computer, you'll be able to see that task done. Or if you push that task to Slack or Gmail or wherever you want to push it, it can be done there as well. So here's an example of one that we're running, and you can see the history here. So this one, it ran today. It ran the past couple of days, and I can run it now by just clicking run now, but I let this run automatically. I do want to make an important note here that Claude Cowork will only run if the app is open on a computer that is turned on. Because it uses your local files, it's important that your computer stays on and Claude Cowork as an app stays on as well. So if I open one of these reports, you can see that it is going to give me the data here. It's going to show you every time it ran. It's going to show you the connectors that it's using. It's going to show you the context of the business itself. It's going to show you instructions. So I'm going to show you that when we create a new scheduled task, how to do this very effectively. Now that you understand that, let's go ahead and get started running a new scheduled task. So let's get started with our first scheduled task. In the scheduled section, I'm going to go to new task and I'm going to set it up manually. And I'm going to name my task something really simple and a description. And then I'm going to add an actual description here. It's important to note too that you can check your existing skills. So if you're making a skill or if you've made a skill, it might be important for you to make skills knowing that you may want to run them on a schedule in the later future. But in this case, I'm going to do something custom, which is really just going to give me an executive brief every single morning. It's really just going to look at my calendar. It's going to look at my Gmail. It's going to check my Slack messages. And then it's going to give me a concise but thorough format of all of this information so that I can address those items in the future. In this section, I can add it to a project. I'm not going to add this to a project because it's not for a client. I typically will just keep the default model on, or Opus 4.7, the most powerful one. And then you can adjust your frequency. So for frequency, I'm going to go ahead and set the days and time. So this is nice to have on a daily basis because I don't get that many emails or that communications on a daily basis. You can set it hourly. You can set it, every 2 hours and custom and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this daily for 6 a.m. because I wake up pretty early. So now that I have my set schedule here, I'm going to go ahead and click on the save button. You'll now see that the daily briefing is now available here, and it's going to summarize these important things that I have to think about every single day at 6 a.m. If I click here, I can start running this now just so I can see what that's going to look like. This is a great way to actually test your scheduled action. I always recommend that you run it now because in the future, let's say it doesn't work or something's broken or a connector's broken or something along those lines, like troubleshooting it before you actually automate it. It's possible. So I always just test it. Then I like to review what it's actually thinking about. And so it's going to do all of this stuff for me. So I'm going to let it do some work and then come back to the computer. And then if it works well, this is going to be automated every day at 6 6 a.m. You can see it was successfully run. I got a nice morning briefing, and to be honest with you, this was very helpful. There was a few things that I was overlooking. I'm not going to show you the details of what it came back with, but you can see it used 3 integrations. It ran today at 7:45 p.m., and it'll run tomorrow again at 6 a.m. as well, doing it automatically. I doubt that any new data is going to come in to make it much different than this one, but again, I wanted to run this now so that I can test to see if it's going to work at 6 a.m. That is how you run a scheduled task. And so this was a very simple one, but I wanted to give you behind the scenes of how to actually do this really simply and really quickly. Okay, so let's do a recap. What's the primary value of CoWork? The primary value is that it automates tasks and it can access your computer's specific files. Why must the computer remain powered on? That's because the app relies on your local hardware rather than running independently on the cloud. So if you don't have an internet connection, or if your computer and the app is not on, it will not run your scheduled tasks. In the Claude Cowork dashboard, which serves the specific section as a central hub for automation, that is the actual CoWork tab. You can use the normal Claude chat tab in there. I personally don't like using it there. I like using it directly inside of the cloud-based, but for scheduled task, which is specifically what I use CoWork for, that's where I'll do that. The X dashboard section is used to sync a user's existing settings. This is the projects and the customize. Any projects you can create in Claude will show up inside of CoWork. Which 3 external integrations were utilized in my daily briefing workflow? That was the calendar, Gmail, and Slack. Very simple workflow. Of course, these can get a lot more complex as we continue. Which specific AI model is recommended? I like using Opus 4.7. What is the recommended best practice to perform immediately after setting up a new automated task? I like using the Run Now feature for manual testing. This will give me a good understanding of what the data is going to pull out and what I can rely on it on a future basis. Where can a user find the specific data context process and the connectors used during a previous automation run? You're going to see a history log for the specific task. You're going to see when it was scheduled, every time it's run, and when has it run too, more importantly, so that you can diagnose an issue with it. What is the purpose of configuring push notifications? Well, to ensure task outputs are accessible even where the user is away from the desktop. So for example, a lot of my scheduled tasks, I may push to my Slack, to my email, to my phone, so that I can see the information when I'm out and about. I may not be by my computer all the time, or I may have this running on my desktop machine, which I don't bring to the office with me, or I don't bring to client meetings with me, so I may want to see that stuff wherever I go. In dashboard navigation, which feature provides standard interaction capabilities identical to the base Claude application? And that would just be the new chat. Okay, so that's CoWork. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.